Caitlin Clark didn't miss a game in high school, didn't miss one in college either. So why has she been hurt for most of her second and third pro seasons? We're laying out the full timeline, the body checks in 2024, the no calls in 2025, and the throat shot from Alyssa Thomas in 2026 that finally broke the dam. One player has been on the receiving end of over 20% of the WNBA's flagrant fouls the last 3 years. One player. That's not bad luck, that's a pattern. REFS need to be held accountable.
First of all, I know what you guys are going to ask, and I did think it was a flagrant foul, and our reffing just needs to be better. And
fist straight into her throat while she's on the floor. No whistle? Not right away. The ref's standing right there, watching the whole sequence unfold, and somehow none of them reach for the whistle.
I mean, Caitlin to the ground, and ooh, that's a hand to the neck, and then Alyssa Thomas steps over her. See, that's the kind of stuff that can incite some future trouble.
Think about where the officials actually were on this play. Close enough to see everything, positioned right on top of the action, and still they let Thomas steps over her like she's not even there, nearly stepping on her in the process. Fans didn't need slow motion to catch it, but once the replay hit social media, it spread everywhere. People started counting the seconds between the contact and any kind of response from the officials, and the gap was embarrassing. Here's what actually happened after the game ended. The league went back, reviewed the film.
Alyssa Thomas, a 1-game suspension. So what they did is they assessed her a flagrant 2 foul for what they say is a reckless contact with her fist to the throat of Caitlin Clark in last night's game. This was not called at all in the game. And then Clark, on a closeout by a Mercury player, came down, landed on a foot, and re-injured her back. That was also not called in the game.
After the Thomas hit, Clark got ruled out for the next game against the Los Angeles Sparks and then the Las Vegas Aces, with no clear timeline for return. She was reportedly feeling better and doing individual work. And it wasn't the first time something like this happened to Clark. It's just the clearest example yet, the one that made people who'd never watched a WNBA game stop and ask how long this had actually been going on. How many hard fouls does it take before a pattern stops looking like coincidence? Because this didn't start with Alyssa Thomas in 2026. It started in Clark's first month in the league, back in May of 2024, and it never really stopped. May of 2024, Caitlin Clark gets whacked in the head 3 times by the Seattle Storm, and none of it was called.
8 seconds left. Goes around to Gumake. Drives baseline. And shot rejected by Izzy McMagor. Second opportunity is up and in by Nalissa Smith. Very entertaining first half about Seattle, and all of a sudden, we're pretty close. This has been as close as it's been all second quarter long. 44.
June of 2024, a blindside body check from Kennedy Carter and a hit to the head from Angel Reese.
Good. Kennedy Carter now with 12 points off the bench.
Clark, hammer.
Then in a later game during the same season, more hits from the Chicago Sky.
Here's Clark for 29 points, gets tripped up.
And who could forget this body check from Alyssa Thomas?
Take another look here at the heavy contact. A little bit of a shoulder there. Not a little bit, a lot of a shoulder there for Alyssa Thomas.
Yeah, they're not going to look at this. They might.
Got the fans here fired up.
And the infamous eye poke from Carrington during the 2024 playoffs, where she hits Clark right in the eye, leaves her with a black eye so bad she goes 0 for 6 from 3 in the first half, and the whistle stays silent on contact to the face.
As everyone else has seen this angle. I'm calling her in, and I'm saying to her, I need answers.
Then 2025 shows up, and the contact gets worse. Groin hits, hard screens that fans replayed for weeks trying to figure out how officials missed them live. Eye pokes that left Clark blinking through the rest of a quarter. Then, in a heated game against Connecticut, J.C. Sheldon hits Clark in the eye, and then gets body checked by Marina Mabry.
Third quarter we go. They're trailing by 10. Keep an eye on her and J.C. Sheldon. Clark trying to back her down. Sheldon, that was Clark, hitting her in the face. Clark is upset about that. Then everybody's upset about that. Marina Mabry comes in. She decks Clark, tempers flaring on both sides.
Now compare that to how the league treats Clark's own frustration. August 18th against Seattle, she smacks the padding on the basket after a tough play and gets hit with a technical foul. Minutes earlier, Skylar Diggins-Smith shoves her near the bench with a shoulder, no call at all. One fan online put it perfectly. Elbow to the face is a no call, but Clark hitting the post is a technical. Here's the number that matters more than any single clip. Clark's taken in over 20% of the league's flagrant fouls since entering the WNBA, despite her being one of over 150 players on WNBA rosters. That's about one flagrant foul every 8 games she's played in her WNBA career. That's not one bad night from one bad ref. That's volume, spread across 3 seasons, with the same names showing up again and again. Alyssa Thomas, Chennedy Carter, Marina Mabry, J.C. Sheldon, Angel Reese over and over in the game logs. Clark never missed a single game in high school. Never missed one in college either. Since 2024, she's dealt with a quad strain, a groin strain, an ankle injury, a bad back, and now a throat shot, all while absorbing hits that would draw ejections for anyone else. One player, 1/5 of the league's flagrants. Ask yourself if that's still an accident. Now you've got national voices, people with zero stake in the WNBA's internal politics, saying flat out that the officiating is broken.
Ever notice when Caitlin Clark is the victim, she never plays the role of the victim? She spoke up publicly for the first time since Alyssa Thomas came out publicly and said she's been getting death threats to her and her family, and there has been racial slurs thrown at her. What I want to know, Alyssa Thomas, have you reported this to the police? Have you reported this to the FBI? Because they'll get on it and they'll find who's responsible.
Linda Cohn spent 34 years at ESPN before she retired, and she didn't hold back on her way out the door. She said the bad officiating in the WNBA has led to most of this controversy, all of it really, and then she asked the question everyone's been thinking. Is there an agenda here that I don't know about?
The bad officiating in the WNBA has led to most of this minutia. Yeah, most of this controversy. All of these controversies. Be better, officials. Is there an agenda here that I don't know about? Speaking of agendas, congratulations to Caitlin Clark. 3 straight years named and voted an All-Star Game starter. That's the great news. 2nd most votes by the fans for Caitlin Clark. The media, 3rd most votes for Caitlin Clark by members of the media.
That's not a fan on Twitter typing in all caps. That's a veteran broadcaster with 3.5 decades in the business, wondering out loud if something behind the scenes is shaping how these games get called.
Players in the WNBA, how do they feel about Caitlin Clark and how she is as a guard? Well, they ranked her 11th best among guards. Her numbers and all the other votes got her in as a starter despite that stupidity by many WNBA players who had a vote.
Colin Cowherd took a different angle and went straight at the players themselves. He's argued that Clark got crowned the queen of the league before she even showed up, and plenty of veterans resented that framing before she took a single shot as a pro. Cowherd's take is that Clark gets treated and attacked and harassed differently than virtually every other player on the floor, and he's asked why WNBA players keep biting the hand that feeds them, given how much revenue and attention she's brought into the league.
You moved her road games to bigger arenas to accommodate the fans. You were flying the last 6 rows of Southwest Airlines until she made such an impact, you pivoted to private jets. And she's not on the 30-year poster, but Paige Beckers and Angel Reese are.
Stephen A. Smith brings the 3rd piece, and he's been vocal about not letting people pin this on Clark's own play style. That argument falls apart once you're watching official flagrant counts stack up year over year against one specific player, and Smith's made a point of saying so on camera. Where these three actually split is motive. Cohn wonders about a hidden agenda, Cowherd points at jealousy among veterans. Smith frames it as a league failing to protect its biggest asset. Different reasons, same conclusion, the officiating isn't working.
You're not the NBA. You don't have an 11-year, $77 billion contract. You are building the league. You just reached an incredible collective bargaining agreement. You understand they did a great job with that. The league is growing, and it's reaching some of its aspirations, no doubt, but there's still a lot more work to be done. Don't get in the way of the cash cow. You don't sit up there and pave a way for her and don't compete. Nobody's implying that. But you certainly ride that tidal wave of popularity and use it to your advantage to build the game, not compromise and hurt the game by taking her out.
Now, some analysts push back and say this is just physical basketball. That contact is part of the game, and Clark needs to adjust. Fair point on its face, except it doesn't explain why the same contact gets whistled instantly when it happens to other players around the league. Christine Brennan added her voice too, calling out Commissioner Kathy Engelbert directly for dodging questions about the Thomas incident instead of addressing it head-on. Brennan said the WNBA is lucky to have Clark, given how much restraint she's shown compared to what she could be saying publicly. Dan Dockich, who's criticized Clark plenty in the past, flipped his target entirely and called
The officiating's awful and way too physical. Way too physical. The NBA allows physicality in the finals when the season's at the very end. But they want to keep their players healthy for the regular season and early rounds of the playoffs. Why hurt your content? Adam Silver in the league now. You get to the finals, that's a man's game. Wemby, good luck. WNBA regular season is officiated like UFC.
That's Cohn, Cowherd, Smith, Brennan, and Dockich. 5 names, 5 different shows, 1 shared conclusion. Then Clark and Cunningham stopped waiting on anyone else to say it for them. 9 days. That's how long Clark stayed quiet after the Thomas incident, and fans spent every single one of those days waiting for her to say something. No statement, no interview, nothing on social media, just silence while the league dodged questions and the internet argued about what should happen next. So when reporters finally got her in front of a microphone, the room knew this wasn't going to be some soft, safe answer.
What resources does the league provide for you guys as players to kind of help you try to filter through some of the hate and negative things that come through on social media?
I think that honestly, I don't know what our league does to help with that. If they really do anything, you can put out statements as much as you want.
Cunningham went first, and she didn't dance around anything. Asked about the league doing more to protect players from online hate, she admitted, I don't know what our league does to help with that. Then she turned the conversation toward the bigger picture, saying this is an entertainment business, and if you're going to live by praise, you're going to die by the hate. That's Cunningham in one sentence, blunt, no cushioning, and done pretending the league has this handled. Then Clark spoke, and she didn't hedge on the foul itself. I did think it was a flagrant foul, she said, and our refereeing just needs to be better. She didn't stop at her own case either, pointing out that plenty of other plays across the league never get called correctly, and teams keep submitting clips to the league office where nothing really changes. Her fix wasn't complicated. Pay the referees like full-time employees, she said, and invest in better technology so the calls actually match what's happening on the floor.
So I think for us, as the league's just got to do better protecting our players in that regard. I don't really think that it was up for debate. Obviously, it wasn't called in real time. You go back and watch the clip. I think it's pretty straightforward. It's kind of been a discussion for 3 years now, and I think we really need to do a better job protecting the people in this league. And obviously, I've been involved in a few of those plays, but there's been plenty others across the league that haven't got called. Go back and post game or whatever it is. Teams submit clips, nothing really changes. So I think overall the league just has to do better, and we have to invest in those areas.
Clark kept going past officiating, straight into how the whole story got covered. Her team dominated a game right after the incident, and nobody wanted to talk about that. They were just worried about everything else, which she called a real disservice to the league. She talked just louder now. She's the one who steps into scrums, the one who gets in Bonner's face, and the Fever locker room backs her without hesitation, because that's the culture Clark's teammates have built around her. Nobody on that roster wants to see her franchise player treated like a target, and Cunningham's willing to be the one who says it out loud when nobody else will.
But at the end of the day, you're in an entertainment business. That's when mental toughness comes in. If you're going to live by praise, you're going to die by the hate. And so I think that's on the individual person to have mental toughness. Some people can deal with it, some people can't. And I think you can see the ones who can. And unfortunately, there are some who can't. And it's not beneficial to them. But you can't control what other people say or what other people do. All you can do is control yourself, how you treat people. Speak up, and support people who, maybe don't have a voice or don't have the courage to do that. But, it's one of those things. You're in the entertainment business and you have to expect it.
The demand itself was simple: better refereeing, real investment in officiating, and an end to letting flagrant fouls slide as common contact. Not complicated asks, just basic accountability the league hasn't delivered in 2 years. That's the nuclear moment right there. Not screaming, not chaos, just two players calmly telling the league its officiating is broken, and everyone in that room knew exactly what it meant. So what happens after the outrage fades? Because outrage alone hasn't fixed a single thing in 2 years of this. Clark and Cunningham said their piece, the clips went around, everyone nodded along for a news cycle, and then what? That's the real question the league needs to answer, not with a statement, but with actual structural change. Clark herself laid out what that change should look like. "The technology can get better," she said. "We can treat the referees a little bit better, pay them like they're full-time employees. I think things like that." That's not a rookie complaining about calls. That's a specific policy proposal. Right now, WNBA officials work part-time, which means less training, less accountability, and less consistency from night to night. Full-time officials, better pay, and real technology investment would give referees the tools to actually get calls right, instead of guessing in real time on a fast break with the game's biggest star getting hit from behind.
The technology can get better. We can treat the referees a little bit better, pay them like they're full-time employees. I think things like that. And
compare that to the NBA, where officiating mistakes get a public report the very next day. The NBA runs last 2-minute reports for close games, grades refs internally, and hands out fines and suspensions when reviews show a pattern of missed calls. None of that exists in any real form in the WNBA. Clark pointed out that teams already submit clips of missed calls to the league office, and her exact frustration was that nothing really changes. No public reports, no visible discipline, just silence, and that silence is the whole problem. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert hasn't offered much beyond generic statements about reviewing plays after the fact. Critics want her doing the opposite: get in front of cameras, admit the officiating has failed, and lay out real fixes instead of waiting for the next viral clip to force her hand.
Obviously, not every, they're humans, looking at technology. Basketball is a little more complex than tennis, for instance, around technology of officiating. So we're looking at a variety of different dimensions.
Because the business risk here is real money, not just bad press. National WNBA viewership dropped 53% the moment Clark went out with an injury, falling from over 1.8 million viewers down to 847,000. That's not a small dip. That's over half the national audience gone in a single game. Every time Clark sits, the league loses eyeballs, loses ticket sales, loses the casual fans who tuned in specifically to watch her play. The Fever roster has shown it can compete even without her on the floor, and that depth matters going forward. But depth doesn't replace the single player driving national ratings, selling out road arenas, and pulling in casual fans who've never watched a WNBA game before her. Fix the officiating, and you're not just doing the right thing morally, you're protecting the asset paying everyone's bills. Ignore it, and you're gambling the league's whole financial future on hoping Clark stays healthy under refs who still won't blow the whistle on time. Look at everything laid out here. The knee, the fist to the throat, the eye poke, the groin shots, 5 media voices calling it broken, and Clark herself naming the fix. That's not basketball anymore. That's a player getting hunted every night while refs look away. Clark kept smiling through it, kept lifting her team even after her own peers voted her the 11th best guard in the league. That says everything about her and nothing good about everyone else. Fix the officiating, and you get a healthy Clark chasing MVP and a Fever team built to win it all. Drop in the comments what you think was the worst hit or no call on Caitlin Clark, because the dirty WNBA refs need to be held accountable. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications as we're bringing you all the action and top stories. Click the video on the screen, and we'll see you in the next one.